Okay, so today is November 17th, 2025, and this is going to be my first weekly trade and price action recap for the week. We could start off on Monday, which is November 10, 2025. So my overall bias for the week was bullish because if we go on the higher time frame, mm, we're in a clear buy model. We have external liquidity up here that should be taken out. And we're disrespecting bearish PD raise and respecting bullish PD raise. So right here we had closed above the 4-hour fair value gap, and this 4-hour fair value gap is going to get revisited a lot during the week. Um, so let's go down to the lower time frame now. So going into market open, 6:30 Pacific time. We had a Judah swing, so it left London lows and Asia lows untapped, which makes them um like really strong liquidity pools. And we also had a new week opening gap right here. So I wanted to see a little trade down at least to one of these liquidities before continuing up. So let's go down to the 5-minute time frame. So right when market opens, we start going upwards. So I see that as manipulation. And then right here, let's see, go on the 15-minute. So we sweep New York highs on ES. Yeah, we sweep New York highs on ES right here. And then on NASDAQ, we didn't sweep it, so that made a high time from SMT. We go down to the 1-minute. Let's see. Go down to the 1-minute. We didn't have a clear inverse fair value gap here, so I didn't take any shorts. Price was chopping a bit, and they made an internal SMT right here. Then later, so I was waiting for a 3-minute inverse right here. We had a liquidity sweep, SMT, nice 3-minute inverse, targeting 5-minute unfilled fair value gap, and break even at the lows, which is following PB Blake's model. So at this point, I was just waiting for the inverse. So right here, I get the inverse, and I enter on the 3-minute time frame. I set my stops right here around this high at a 1.5 risk reward ratio. So then it quickly hits my TP after that. So that was a good start to the week, a good win, good bias too. So now let's go to the next trade. Or I didn't trade on Tuesday because it was bank holiday. I'm glad I didn't trade on that day, but because price was super choppy and uncertain. But let's get to that. Yeah, as you could see, price was chopping during London session a lot. So if I were to trade during bank holiday, which I'll never do, I would have probably taken this trade. So it's a pretty much a back test. We had an SMT at the uh, New York highs that was swept on ES, but on NQ wasn't. So then I was looking for, let's see, paused it real quick because I couldn't find the inverse for value gap, but it was on the 5 minute time frame. So sweep of liquidity on opposite pair SMT, inverse for value gap on the 5 minute. And then I would have entered right here at a 2.11 risk reward ratio. Set my take profit at unfilled 5 minute from previous day, and it would have gotten hit well. So let's go on to the next day real quick. See, now going into Wednesday now, we hit one of my intended external highs for the week. So you could say the buy model was fulfilled. And then, yeah, once that happened, we started going down. Let's go down to the 1 minute. Perfect. So, let's see. Yeah, so New York session had a massive dump. Once it opened, it moved into the 4 hour fair value gap that I marked out at the beginning of the week. And it also made a really high time frame SMT to previous day lows. And we were trading right above equilibrium. We swept internal lows around 6:57 a.m. and then I waited for a 1 minute inverse. I entered off of the little retracement since it was high displacement. Set my take profit at unfilled 15-minute highs at a 2.46 risk reward, and it got hit really well, really quickly too. And then after that, I just continued going down, so that was a perfect trade. So that's my second one for the week. Now going into Thursday. At this point, going into Thursday, we disrespected equilibrium and the 4 hour fair value gap that was getting respected a lot. So let's see. So I did not trade on this day because I didn't wake up for market open. But this is just like a nice little back test. So let's see. On the 5 minute, yeah, so on the 5 minute, we barely swept Asia highs. And on ES, we swept it a little more prominently. So ever since London session, we were just going down, 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 down. So I would expect a little retracement. So that's what we got when we got manipulation, and then that little relief we needed to continue lower. We got an SMT at the New York highs, and then if we go down, I think it was a 3 minute. Yeah, 2 minute inverse for a value gap. At this point, I would have entered. I want break even at the I would have gone break even at the unfilled 5 minute and then set my take profit at the next 5 minute as a continuation model. Gone break even and then it would have hit TP. So just two trades, win for the week and then two untraded days. So now let's go into Friday. Going into Friday, I did wake up for market open, but I missed the trade. Not necessarily missed, but I just didn't want to enter off of it because of displacement and risk. There would have been too much risk on the table. So going into New York session, we had a Judah swing. Asia highs and London highs were left unswept. We had a big move down during London session, which left a lot of low resistance liquidity here. We also, let's see, we also had a high time frame Peter Ray in here, high time frame SMT as well, and for me it looked like a clear buy model up to Asia highs. Let's see. So right when New York session opened, we swept low resistance liquidity and internal lows. Once that happened, I was looking for an inverse fair value gap on the 2 minute. Let's see. Um, okay, so I was waiting for the 2 minute inverse fair value gap to enter into the trade, but see, the displacement was crazy and I didn't want to risk that much. So I was ideally waiting for a retracement back into EQ, but that didn't happen and it just continued going up. Me and PB Blake had the exact same thought process and execution. This would have definitely been a good trade, but unfortunately, just didn't take it. That's okay though. We ended the week with a 2-0 win rate, so 2 wins, 0 losses, which is good. I believe my funded account, my 50K funded account, is at 51,700. So that's pretty good. And yeah, that's my trade week recap for the week.